We're gonna have a Kickturn party tonight. All right.
Joe, I got a few of these here.
Oh, some old zines.
Yeah, rolling papers.
I might have one or two of those.
And this kind of goes back to the old days of the M.E.S. series contest.
Oh yeah.
I know you had a little bit to do with that, which is kind of one of your other entry points into the skateboard industry. You know, was the Mid-Eastern Skateboard Series.
Oh
that
yeah.
we all did for a while. Now I know that Britt organized part of it. You organized part of it. So talk a little bit about that. The organization of these contests back in the day when there was only like what, 300 people at the most east of the Mississippi that skateboarded.
Yeah, it's probably a high number.
I'm being generous.
It
I'm
was,
being
it
very
was
generous.
really scarce. I think a lot of that was just the brainchild of Britt Parrott. And he was more or less trying to just get more people to skateboard by having these events and getting everybody together. It was more, I mean, there was contests, there were prizes, somebody got first, second, and third, but a lot of it was just getting everybody together for a weekend to have fun. And that was folks from Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, of course, Tennessee, Kentucky. Those events were a lot of fun.
Oh, they were great fun. The very first one was at Mike Hill's.
Oh
And
yeah.
once again, this is one of those kind of things. It's like you're putting your address and your phone number and your directions to your house on some flyer and sending it out to people. And I just remember myself, Brian, and Doug. They were both bartenders, so they didn't get off till like 2:30 or 3 in the morning. And I met them and jumped in a car and we drove all the way to Dayton, 6-hour drive. Got there at 4 in the morning and slept in the car until the sun came up. And we're like, okay, can we skate the ramp now? The sun's up. After driving all night long, it was a different thing back then.
Yeah, it was all, and it was done by us.
Yeah.
Literally, it wasn't. The manufacturers would send us prizes, but it was all organized by the people that were in the contest, and judged by us and everything else. There weren't any like really adult supervision that you would think of. It literally was more a session than anything else.
Absolutely.
With Britt Parrott on the bullhorn telling when you got your turn to skate and when you didn't.
I don't even remember him having a bullhorn. that was money. That was money that we didn't even have.
There was no budget.
Bullhorn. I remember one contest. I'm not sure which one it was. Where you went to in your Vega, and it died on the side of the road, and we had to push it off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which one that was.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one it was either, but it wasn't. It may have been Middletown.
It might have been the Pheasant Ramp. Yeah.
Yeah, the Pheasant Ramp. It may have been that one. But we would just pile in the junkiest ass cars that would, things that would barely get you around town, and we'll go 6 hours.
The stories. I have a lot of stories about Joe and memories. The one on Robertson's Ramp where Joe got first place, got sponsored, I think.
Yeah, Warner Robbins won that one.
Russ Mollis Ramp.
Great question. So that got you sponsored?
I think I was already kind of on the track to make that happen, but that certainly didn't hurt for sure. That was a huge ramp. That thing was no joke.
It was a big ramp for that time period. That was a big ramp.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I was terrified. That was my first contest, and I dropped in and I overturned on Indy Air, and fell on the flat bottom. Then Paul Schmitz goes, "You got 30 seconds left." I'm like, "I'm done."
I remember that. I also remember two things about that there was a big, huge tree right next to the ramp. So if you weren't careful, you'd run off the side of the ramp and run right into the tree. And I also remember it had a 4-foot channel, and I did a sweeper over it. I was the only one to do a sweeper over that channel, and the whole crowd freaked out, all like 35 of us, and like on top of the world.
Yeah, I just got my license and I drove Mike DeLong and Edwin and Sean Bates.
Yep.
And Mike was ripping that ramp. He could have got placed pretty high. He broke his ankle.
He was
Oh,
ripping.
I didn't remember
hard.
that. Wow.
I met Bill Danforth for the first time. This is the funny story about Bill Danforth. He's the same age as me back then. And I'm looking for a place to
He's still the
change
same
my
age as you,
daycare.
Steve.
I'll go, where can I change? He's like, so are you kidding me? Just change right there. No one cares. He's so right. And then he comes into my my hotel room. I had all these snacks. He picked up my bag of Doritos and opened them and started eating them. I'm like, okay, this is Bill Danforth eating my Doritos without asking me. That's okay. Fun contest.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. I mean, Monty
That was a
Nola was
good
there, Scott Green, Pat Clark. I think he won the sponsor card.
Yep, I think you're right. Gosh, yeah. I ran into Pat Clark at the Kona 40.
Yeah, Randy Barfield. He was the goth skater. Remember him? Yeah, he was sponsored by Walker. He did his little sad plants. But
earlier, but I've got a really, really good picture of you doing extremely nice invert at the Greenville contest, won the Greenville M.E.S.S contest.
Yeah. That picture is right when I got sponsored by Madrid. I mean, I just got sponsored.
Nice.
So that's why I'm on a Bo Brown board.
Yeah.
And so that I get a picture in the magazine, which I'm all excited about. And what am I wearing? A Vision t-shirt. So of course I get the guys at Madrid calling me like, why aren't you wearing a Madrid t-shirt? I'm like, well, that was a practice day.
Yeah.
I remember before Madrid, you got that C-Flex board. Remember that?
I got that for actually putting an ad in my zine. So
Boomcat?
Carol Colgate at Smooth Hill, they did those boards, and I put an ad in my zine and sent it to them. They sent me a board.
Well,
You have,
Boomcat? Okay.
But I was there. I
Yeah.
was at that as an NSA judge. I remember that contest really, really well because we all thought that this was finally the NSA contest that Tony Magnuson is going to win. And not that Tony Hawk wasn't ripping or anything. It just looked like finally T-Mag was, going to win one. And it was absolutely Tony Hawk sandbagging till the moment he needed to unleash. And oh my God. I mean, I saw some video of it recently and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that.
He blew up. Yeah.
He unleashed, and you could literally see Tony Magnuson just, absolutely defeated. Like it was his weekend, it was his event. He looked like he was going to be the guy to win it finally, and then Mr. Hawk arrived.
That's funny.
It was crazy.
Yeah, that was a crazy weekend. Like I said, I stayed in the hotel that all the pros were at. But there were 2 floors that just totally got destroyed. I mean, just totally destroyed. Cops showed up. I remember getting on an elevator going, the elevator doors slid open and all the light fixtures and everything had been trashed and were laying on the bottom of the elevator floor. And there was a guy, security guard there. And I said, floor 6. He goes, and we went up to floor 6 and it opened up. People were like, oh, running by. I said, this is my floor. Yeah, it was a crazy scene. It was.
They kicked everybody out.
Yeah.
So in that particular event, I was staying with the tracker team, and I was in the room with Lester Kasai, and security people were going around and knocking on doors and asking, like you're gonna admit, like, oh yeah, I went out there and I ripped all the fixtures off the walls.
Right.
And Lester answers our door, and they're like, "You guys any part of this stuff?" And he's like, "No, I wish you'd arrest those guys, kick them out."
That's pretty much what I said when I got in the elevator. I was like, what happened here? And they go, those skateboarders. And I said, oh, they're just animals.
It gets worse. They had a vert contest in Europe in the Petit Panneau in France. And at about 10 o'clock at night, they called all the skateboarders down to the town square and ready to throw us all out of town at that moment. Because some of the pro skateboarders stirred up a riot in the town, and the kids followed right along and were like smashing windows. And somebody, it wasn't myself, but maybe Don or one of those guys, or maybe his wife went down there and just convinced the city officials like to let him stay. He can't be throwing these guys out of town at midnight. Nowhere to go.
Because out of the 75 or 80 skateboarders that are always at those contests, there's like 3 that are level-headed and can actually talk to people, but only 3.
Wait, which 3 are those?
It depends on
It
the
rotates around.
night. Yeah, exactly.
Either your turn
Depends
to
on
be the
the age.
level-headed guy or not. But it's young people, you know, it's young guys on skateboard. All the pro skaters are what, in late teens, early 20s. And their shit gets out of hand. Oh, that's what happens.
Everybody's gonna hang out here tonight. Alright. We'll pass out in the flat. Alright. Tonight. We got nothing better to do than to take 6 runs, drink a dozen brews. Don't talk about anything else. We don't wanna know. We're dedicated to beers, holes, and bros. Backside slasher, reptile grind, Kickturn, garbage. We'll hang out by the peanut pool all night, and every night, then go someplace else and smoke and yell. It's Friday night. We got nothing better to do than take 6 runs, drink a dozen brews.